Hey, welcome everybody to a class on my favourite topic, parallel structure. Parallel structure is important with lists, and lists very often have a coordinating conjunction inside them, a fanboys conjunction. They don't have to, because if they don't have any conjunctions, we call that asyndetic coordination in the list, and we looked at that a couple of lessons ago. So in any list, whether it's got fanboys in it or not, whether it's asyndetic or polysyndetic or syndetic, in any list, parallel structure is important. And the idea here is that if you have a list of things, well, they ought to be the same thing. You can't have a list which has an adjective and a noun and a verb in it, because they're totally different types of words, and you can only compare like with like. And a list is really a comparison, yeah? When you're listing all those things together, you're kind of putting them into the same category. And so you need to think about parallel structure. So lists are one place where you need to think about parallel structure, but a second place where you need to think about parallel structure are correlative conjunctions. And those are all correlative conjunctions and comparisons as well that I tend to write in X's and Y's to make them easier. Because when you're making a comparison, you can only compare like with like. Yeah, so in this class, we're going to focus on lists and correlative conjunctions. In the previous lesson, we looked at some correlative conjunctions and some comparisons. And in a future class, I will look at parallelism in comparisons. But let's just look at these lists and correlative conjunctions. So all of these sentences on the board, except for the last 5, but they're all actually poorly written. Yeah, that's what we could argue. We could argue that all of these sentences are badly written. This one I took from a newspaper, from the Telegraph. It's from, it's a broadsheet, it's a serious newspaper, but in my opinion, this is a good example of how journalists write badly. And so let's look at this first sentence. Mum told me to wait here and that's a very important word here, it's coordinating. It's a coordinating conjunction that sets up a, it's for listing two things, isn't it? You have X and Y, and the X and Y must be equal. So let's see the two things Mum told me, because she told me two things. She told me to wait here and that she would be back soon. And you might even be able to hear immediately there's something not quite right with this, that it's weird to say she told me to do something and that something.